Well, it's been a partnership that has stood the test of time, and they've enjoyed success at the top level on both sides of the Tasman. It's great to have a trip down memory lane with Jayne Davies and Noel Alexander. Thanks for joining us, Jayne and Noel. Jayne, where did this fabulous partnership begin and how long has it been going for?
Probably about 35 to 40 years now, yes. Yeah, and I think that's about right, isn't it?
Around about 40, I'd say.
Yeah.
40 years.
So how did it all begin?
Well,
go on. Well, I worked for Darky Wilson, and then I went out on my own breaking a few in and training a few, and just sort of hooked up with Noel and helped him out, and it just sort of developed from there, sort of thing.
You said you're not one for keeping records, but you must be closing in on around 1,400 winners as a combination. Group 1 success and numerous decades of success as far as listed races are concerned. How many horses at the peak of your powers did you have at any one stage?
How many horses in work? Oh, probably 50 odd. Yeah, 50 odd, about 50 to 55.
These days, Noel, you've cut back quite a bit.
Oh, a long way. We've sort of built up to 10, but that was too many. About 8's about what we want to do, and just get a nice little team together and enjoy it.
We've had a couple of conversations over many, many years, and every now and then you say to me, I wish I could retire, but you love the people, you love the industry, it's difficult to walk away from.
Oh, look, it is. I mean, the friends that you make when you travel and all that, and I still sort of contact them, and, like you miss the ones that have passed by. Coming to New South Wales to see Jimmy Bennett. He used to always call me the liberal Mexican from and, Sammy D. Francesco up in Queensland. Still rings Sammy, he rings us. And a lot of others, You just, in harness racing, once you're sort of in the circle, travelling around and everything like that, everybody just opens up their arms to you and, it just goes on. And that's the way it goes.
Jayne, you've had a lot of success, you've had a lot of wonderful memories with the Bennett family, in particular with Greg.
Oh yeah, no, Greg's been terrific. He won the New South Wales Derby with us with top speed, and also side stakes with pick handles. Yeah, so he's been a fantastic guy and a great driver, and like Noel said, he's always welcomed us at his place. When we went to New South Wales to race. Yeah, no, great.
No, just as famous as the combination between yourself and Jayne, those green colours have just become synonymous with harness racing. We think of you and Jayne, we automatically think of those green colours. How did they come about?
Well, it was quite my original colours when Jayne joined. They were pink with purple hoops, sleeves and cap. And in those days you used to have to write on the nomination forms and all that. And then we got sick of it actually. And Jayne said, let's just get one colour. It's easy to do. We checked around and couldn't get red, couldn't get blue because Graham Lang had it. Brian Gath had red. We asked for green. They said, green's available with a red cap. So that's what we got, green. And then the red cap seemed to get the flick when the drivers got their own helmets. And it's just been green ever since.
So it's as simple as that, one of the most famous sets of colours in harness racing.
Yeah. And everywhere we go, they call us the green team. And made it a lot easier, didn't it, Jayne? Filling out those forms for a while.
Definitely did, yes.
That makes no difference now, but we've had a lot of success with them. And we've had a lot of success with the red and white colours of Mick Lombardo too. So, he would let us put the green on.
Well, we'll talk about some of those wonderful horses in a moment. Jayne, when you started out your career, who was very influential in the early stages?
Oh, Darky Wilson, of course. He's incredible. He was a quadriplegic in a wheelchair, but taught me so much. Along the way, he taught Teddy Demler and a lot of great trainers, and you could just learn so much from him. Just him being in a wheelchair, like he'd come out in the yard and teach you how to shoe a horse. He'd just every step of the way, how to break one in. He'd be there, telling you what to do. He was just incredible. Yeah.
What about you? No doubt there was no shortage of people that was influential or who you admired when you started out.
Well, it was an accident actually. My mother passed away at a young age, and my father had a business, and he had a few paces and a few gallopers, and I was sort of Victorian manager of Hertz, rent-a-car and truck rental, and I said, look, I'll give it up and go look after the farm. So there were horses in the paddock there, had to be broken in and try. So I tried, and a few of them won and everything like that, and it went on. It was a funny thing, every time I got successful, my father would always pass me by a bit, you know, and I went out on my own and started broke a lot of horses in for Teddy Demler, and then started to win a few races around the local tracks and that. And then Jayne joined the team, and her knowledge and a little bit of knowledge that I had all went together, and away we went.
As they say in the classics, Noel, the rest is history. Jayne, let's talk about one of those champions, in fact the champion, Golden Rain. From the outset, did he show you the potential that turned him into a champion, a legend of harness racing?
Yeah, well, we did buy Donnie Collins and Johnny McLeish bought 2 yearlings at the sales that year, a Golden Greek called Gold Arrow and Paulie, which is Golden Rain. And we used to work them together, coming up as yearlings and early 2-year-olds. And he did, whoever led always had the better of the one that would come outside. But Paul would never drop off. He'd always stick there. He was doing things wrong, and he'd touched a knee and things like that, but he'd always be there at the finish, you know. So he did. He really did. Yeah, we knew he was sort of going to be quite a strong horse. So yeah, he did show his potential early.
I read where you're the dreamer, the big dreamer of the team, and Noel's a bit more sceptical. How did you feel going into the Inter-Dominion 1995 in New Zealand?
Yeah, well, that was pretty hairy because he was a really quiet stallion. When we got over there, he just turned like he just knew he was a bull then, and he wouldn't settle. During the day, he'd just start walking back and forth, back and forth. I did everything I could to sort of try and slow him down. He had a walk-in, walk-out yard. I used to put tyres there, so he'd try and stop him walking, and he just lost a lot of weight, tightened right up. So he won his 2 heats, and then he got flattened in 1 heat, and he got up and ran 5th. So he made the final. He sat outside Chokem in the 1st heat, and sat outside BBC, who just won the New Zealand Cup in the 2nd heat. Sat outside him and beat him, and then got hit, knocked down in the 3rd heat. And we made the final, but going into the last week, I gave him 2 days off, because he'd had a pretty tough run. And just freshened him up. And we knew he was right because he was so tight and feeling good. But the newspapers over there thought I was a bit of an idiot because they rang me, the Flash, the newspaper, and said, "Oh, how's the wee Aussie horse, this week?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, he's fine," because they were running. I heard Blossom Lady and that were all going to Christchurch and running these exceptional times leading up to the final. And he said, "Oh, what did you work him this week?" And I said, "I just worked him over 2 mile, 12:10.84." And he said, "What, 64, the last half?" I said, "Yeah, that's correct." I said, "I just breezed him up the last quarter in 28, on Warren Stapleton's track." And, the rest is history. He went out there and blew him away. I think it's the best run of his career.
Noel,
From Chris.
I was just going to get onto that, Noel. It was a stellar, one of the elite fields gathered for an Inter-Dominion, no matter what age you want to look at. He's sitting back last. How was your feeling? And then 3 and 4 deep on the final bend.
Didn't worry me when he was sitting back last because nobody knew how he could really sprint as well, couldn't he, Jayne, and stay. And I think that was the best of him, really. And, Chris just waited and he knew when to take off. He knew how strong he was. And coming around the turn, I had a few gulps and, there was no doubt about that. But he was never beaten. That was the sort of horse. And both 2nd and 3rd returned positive swabs. And he still beat them, unbelievable horse. One that we never ever sort of even dream of finding again anything like him.
No, not only did you have to win the race on the track, but you then had to win the race in the stewards room because there was a protest.
Oh, unbelievable, Anthony Butt didn't even finish the race. Pulled his horse up and gave it to somebody, jumped over the fence and ran to the stewards room. Said we took his legs, which we didn't, and it was going, here we are, there was John McLeish, a part owner, and Donnie, and myself, and everybody else was a Kiwi, and the evidence was sort of stacked against us, and you're not even going to run second, you're going to flicked out to last. And came in, what's his name again? Tony Hurley came and gave his evidence. They said, Mr. Hurley, you were the closest to Golden Rain and the mare. And he said, yes, sir, I was. He said, and what was your observation? He said, I saw no contact and I heard no contact. Oh, we were back in.
Happy days. Jayne, he wasn't a horse to win by huge margins, but he knew how to find the winning post. $8,500 purchase, $1.1 million when he retired after a stellar career, 62 starts, 28 wins, 20 placings. He just knew how to get the job done.
Oh, he certainly did, yeah. He never laid down. He was just unbelievable. I mean, you go back and look at his replays now and you just can't believe the runs he puts in, you know, the Davies and the gold and, you know, he's just incredible. He really was. Victoria Cup, never ever gave in, you know. He really was amazing.
One of the pieces of the puzzle, we've got the piece of the puzzle here with you two coming together, the green colours, but another piece of the puzzle, a young fella who's turned out to be an absolute legend, Chris Alford. How did that all come about, Jayne?
Well, I was driving at the time and Chris appeared on the scene, and I like an aggressive driver, and Chris was always aggressive, and I just thought, I said to Noel, I said, that Chris Alford kid, I said, I reckon we ought to give him a go because I reckon he's going to be a good little driver. And so we put him on and he won his first drive for us. Actually, I had a drive in the race. He came off the fence and nearly took me legs to knock me down. Nearly knocked me down. He went on and won the race. And I thought, well, you know, he's a good driver, you know. So it just stuck with us like that. And it did take some convincing with the owners to keep him on because he was only a young fella. And we probably lost a few owners by sticking with Chris. But, yeah, it all turned out good in the end.
It certainly did. No, he had a remarkable career, Chris, but you said that he wanted to put in the hard work.
Oh, he did. Look, you know, he lives not far from Kilmore, and Kilmore would be 48 k's from Melbourne, and we're 52 on the other side. And 3 times a week, Chris would travel down to work the horses, and that he'd come down on a Saturday morning for the trials. It's just unbelievable. And without great partnership, Jayne and I, but also Chris is there. He just sort of put it all together with us, and the chain reaction started.
Apart from Golden Rain, there was a mare that you had called Tailor Made Lombardy. You mentioned Mick Lombardi.
Yeah, she was fantastic. I mean, one of the best paces you'd ever drive, and she was just a different cat to Golden Rain, but she just got better and better with age, and just a lovely, lovely horse. And Mick was a great owner, never really complained much. If something went wrong, he'd just sort of say, yeah, well, that's enough. Righto, what's next? And away he'd go, you know. He was very good. And he supplied us with a lot of other great horses too. You know, Lombo La Fifi. Jayne went back to New Zealand with her and won the Oaks and everything over there. Mick was great, and Jayne was great too. She'd go off on her own, and with Golden Rain, I mean, Jayne was there all the time. I was back home trying to keep them worked and listen to the radio and everything like that. And, you know, I know my name's alongside that there because we weren't training as a partnership then. But Jayne did the work. I can't put my foot forward and say that.
Now listen, how did you feel in the call of that Inter Dominion when you were referred to as representing New South Wales? Did that get under the skin of the Victorians?
Yeah, no, that wasn't very good at all. No, he was a Vic through and through, that's for sure.
Really didn't. By then he was a national horse. Like, he'd won a lot of races here. Had he been to Queensland? Yeah, he had been to Queensland. And South Australia and everything like that. So, little mistake. That was part of the thing, you know, as long as it was an Aussie and not a Kiwi.
Well, it's been a wonderful trip down memory lane with you, Noel and Jayne. Thank you for your time. Good luck with the careers moving forward. It's been a long time. It's been a lot of water under the bridge, Noel, since those days at Harold Park, but it's been wonderful to catch up with you once again.
Thank you very much, and gee, we loved Harold Park.
I think everyone loved Harold Park. It was just that special atmosphere, that amphitheatre effect, wasn't it?
Coliseum type thing, yeah, which I think it lacks here at Menangle, you know, but we loved Harold Park for sure, yeah.
And Harness Racing loves this partnership. Jayne Davies and Noel Alexander, thanks very much for joining me.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you very much.